call the meeting to order, seeing as how it is 7:01 on Thursday, March 18th. Welcome to this edition of the Norton SelectBoard meeting. Hope you all had a great and happy St. Patrick's Day yesterday. Let the record show that 4 members of the board are present. Renee, Michael, Brad, and myself. Meg is unable to make it tonight. We are joined by Town Manager Michael Units. Good evening, everyone, and to all of our guests out there in Zoom land. We'll jump right into the business today, and we have a couple appointments to make. So Michael, I don't know if you have those in front of you.
I do have it in front of me. Would you like me to read it, Jack?
I'm sorry, guys. Can I just ask a question? I have two items that came in. One says revised, and then I got a regular. Are the materials you're looking at from the 426 yesterday?
I got the agenda packet. I'm sorry.
You're not. Okay.
I can go back and email, see which one I opened.
No, that's okay. I'll look. See, how many pages did you say it was, Michael?
It would have been Wednesday, 4:20 at 4:26 p.m.
Okay, that's one. Thank you so much. I just want to make sure I had the right one.
Now I have to, Mr. Chair, and just put that up because I'm doing the packet electronically.
You're just building the anticipation, Michael. This is good.
Thank you.
Stay tuned.
Appointment letter to the Select Board from Michael, Town Manager, March 9, 2021. A notice of appointment, police matron. I know what a police matron is now. I hereby by the Select Board that in accordance with the provisions of the Article 4, Section 2B, and of the Norton Charter, acting in the capacity of appointment authority, I have appointed the following individual as police matron: Emily Archer. Said appointment was made on March 9, 2021 in accordance with the provisions of the Norton Charter and will be effective March 24th, 2021, unless the Select Board votes to accept or reject the appointment prior to that date. However, I specifically request the board's acceptance of the appointment with an effective date of March 15, 2021. Please advise me if any questions. Michael Units.
All right. Any discussion on this? Seeing none. Chair will entertain a motion to appoint Emily Archer as a police matron to the Norton Police Department as read by Mr. Troop.
So moved.
Second.
We'll go to the Michael.
Aye.
Brad.
Yes.
Renee.
Yes.
And I too am yes. So congratulations, Emily. Welcome aboard. Appreciate your service. You want to go on to the next one, Michael? Actually, I don't think there's a formal appointment since it's not a paid position. So so I can.
No, it still is check. But Michael, if you look on page 8, I think you probably read the second or the first paragraph.
Yeah, but
I don't think we need to read any of that. I think you can just since they're board appointments. So we have go ahead, Brad.
I was just going to say we had a letter of interest and we're taking him up on it.
So Mr. Michael Rainville has volunteered for 3 committees: Open Space, Historical Commission, and the Historic District Commission. So it's great to have someone so interested. I don't know, Michael, if you're on, if you want to say anything. If not, we can move on to the vote.
I am here, and I was prepared to kind of make a statement. Don't want to take too much of your time. The open space is just easily. I enjoy walking in the woods. It looks like a lot of other people do too. So just want to help out with that and maintain the spaces and the trails, and the trail work. Similarly, I think obviously you guys all know there's quite a bit of history in Norton, and it's just I think a lot of people would like to continue to know how we got, where we are from where we started, so to speak.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your interest in coming to the town. It's really admirable. Any questions for Michael?
Just to thank him for his interest in stepping forward.
We'd be glad to help.
And Jack, do we have anything or any of the chairs on from the commissions? I don't see anything from.
I don't even know who heads those up, to be honest with you.
There was one of the questions I asked early on about this.
The open space is Jan Carlino, and we've actually met a couple of times informally pending this, this formal assignment, so to speak. And I've looked up the other two on the town website, but I'm drawing a blank on who the actual chair people are.
Is Jen on right now? Mike?
Yep, and Jillian Kaddish and O'Reilly.
Jen is not on.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine doing the appointment, but I know we talked about before, prior to this, we wanted to have some input from the chairs of the committee. And I asked that when Mike showed interest, and thank you, Mike, for showing interest, and I think it's fantastic. So just a note, like let's make sure we have all the information that we want. I just don't see it in here.
Mr. Chairman, point of inquiry. I know that the open space is active. There's the Historical Commission and the Historical District Commission, and Michael Units might be able to answer that, but are they still active committees?
The Historical District Commission is probably more active than the Historical.
Okay.
What?
The historical looks like it's the web link that Jennifer sends. It looks like it's a website for the Norton Historical Society. So it looks like it's they're landing zones for each other, so to speak, I guess.
Well, I appreciate you stepping up, and I don't want to diminish Renee's concerns because that was a previous. Renee, do you want us to move forward without the?
Yeah, no, let's move forward. I'm sure that I think we heard, and I apologize, I don't know if it was the Historical District or the Historical Commission or the Historical District Commission, but we did have somebody on before, and I believe it was that meeting they expressed, an interest in having more members. So I think it's great. I just want to make sure that we follow the process because, as we know, and I think, Michael, from when you were chair previously, right? Sometimes these appointments happen and the chair has no idea, so nobody knows to reach out. So Mike, feel free to email us if you don't hear from everybody, like each of the different commissions. We just want to make sure that you're settled and, people know that you're a part of the team and you're in the loop essentially, right?
Yeah, it's a very good point because actually the Open Space Committee had reached out to me and then I in turn volunteered back to the historic committees. But I should reach out to them directly anyway, so I will do that.
Yeah, we'll make sure to do it too. That's really on us. But thank you.
Motion to accept Michael Rainbow's letter for the Open Space Committee, Historical Commission, and the Historical District Commission.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. We'll go to the vote. Michael?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. Congratulations, Mike, and thank you again for volunteering your time.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Rainbow.
Have a good evening.
Staying on the topic of volunteerism, we have the appointment of Paige Pennypacker, which, as an aside, is just a phenomenally fun name to say, to the Recreation Commission. And I know Sharon is on, and she was very excited about Paige joining. So Sharon, I don't know if you want to say anything.
Yes, I am thrilled that Paige will be joining the Recreation Commission. Back in, seems like forever ago, the fall of 2019, we started planning a Taste of Norton event, and that's what brought Paige to us. She volunteered. She brought a lot of enthusiasm and ideas to the table, And unfortunately, because of COVID, we had to delay Taste of Norton, but we were able to snag her for the committee, so I'm thrilled, and I'm sure she'll be a great addition. And she is on somewhere. I think she's.
Yeah, I see her. She's on.
She's on. Yeah.
Paige, I don't know if you want to say anything, or we can go right to a vote of appointment.
Sure, I just want to say good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for your consideration, and Sharon, I really appreciate those kind words. I really love our town, and I'd like to give back as much as I can.
Excellent.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Miss Paige Pennypacker to the Recreation Commission. And I used her full name, Jack, because it is fun to say.
It's delightful.
Second. How about we do what we're supposed to do? Sorry, I got caught up there too.
All right, we have a motion and a second for Ms. Pennypacker. We'll go to the vote. Michael?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. Congratulations, Paige. Thank you so much for volunteering.
Mr. Chairman, could you see Sharon's excitement coming through the screen? It was kind of, so congratulations to you too, Sharon.
Thank you. I'm very, very happy. So 2 new members, 2 weeks, excited.
Great.
This is good.
Does that mean you have a full group now, Sharon?
I do. I have a few members that have indicated that they're stepping down, but I don't have letters of resignation for them yet. So hopefully in the coming weeks, that transition will happen and we'll have a full commission once again.
Excellent. Thank you.
Unless there's anyone else hiding in the wings, I believe that is it for appointments and resignations. We have a few minutes before our 7:15 hearing, so we can jump to the licenses and permits. There's an application of Norton Golf Properties Inc., DBA Norton Country Club, 188 Oak Street, Norton, for change of manager from Jeffrey J. Carroll to Todd Reed. Mike, you want to give us the lowdown?
It's exactly what you said. It's a change of manager, and I know that Todd is on to answer any questions you might have of him.
This is just pertaining to the ABCC licensing certification?
Right. Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Green,
Hello, folks.
question to ask you. I know it's for the ABCC. Have they, does this manager have to be TIP certified or any kind of certification courses to become listed as a manager?
Yeah, we're all certified. All the licenses are all set, so
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Green?
Jack, I have one question, not for Mr. Green, but was when we, about 2 or 3 months into the initial emergency declaration for the pandemic, we were talking about a site that wasn't complying to requirements. Was this the site? It had something to do with the parking lot and people gathering, or was it the other golf?
I believe it was here they were having issues with people parking in their parking lot and then walking the course while it was closed.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to, that's what I thought the issue was, and I just wanted to bring it up. Mr. Green, I don't know if you're aware of that, but, certainly conditions are a bit different now, but, if you're not aware of the history, I'd ask you just to have some conversations, right, to get up to speed.
Yeah, that was addressed right in the beginning. I think it was the first few weeks of COVID, and that was addressed right away. So we took care of that.
Great, thank you.
If I recall correctly, as soon as you guys put those large boulders and logs across, I think a few days later the governor reversed course and allowed the courses to open. So
Yeah, it was a crazy year.
Right. Unless there are any other questions, Chair would entertain a motion to approve
Yep.
the... Brad, was that you?
Just one thing, Jack. I just want to make sure the select board always usually make sure that new managers of alcohol facilities realize the fact that the town, the select board, is very strict about serving to minors and maybe over-serving people, and that our penalties can be harsh, and we do not like to impose them. But we just want to make sure that they're aware, he's aware of the town's policy, and the fact that if we get a negative report from the police, we will be forced to have a hearing, in which we do not want to do. So please, for our benefit, be strict and follow those rules.
We're very strict here now. Everything's posted. We're all certified in tips. My whole staff's responsible, so we will take care of that.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Michael.
and if I could just give Todd a heads up too, that we've already had the ABCC suspend a license in town recently for not following the COVID.
Yeah.
So they are going around making sure people aren't just drinking at a bar, that they're maintaining 6 foot of separation and eating.
All our restrictions are in place. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing, so.
And Todd, can I ask from that? I'm sorry, what was that, Todd? I missed that last part.
We're not actually using the bars, so we use they're all tables 6 feet apart, so.
And how do the requirements work from a perspective of folks drinking on the course? Like, do they have to have food? I'm just not familiar with them, that's why I'm asking.
They have food out there from, everybody here has to get food whenever they order a drink, so.
Okay.
It's pretty much hot dogs right now, but they get food.
Nothing wrong with the hot dog.
So. That's
Great, thank you.
needed here, so.
Yeah, it's interesting because the situation's a bit different when you're in the open air space, you know? But that's what I was wondering. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Chair entertain motion to approve the application to transfer the change of manager from Jeffrey J. Carroll to Todd Green at Norton Golf Properties Inc., DBA Norton Country Club.
Moved.
Second.
Go to the vote. Michael?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Nay?
Yes.
I too vote yes. Congratulations, Mr. Green, and good luck out there.
Thank you, folks. Have a good night.
Good luck. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Right. Seeing as how the time is now 7:19, we have the hearing on the application of Malcolm Waltz, Kimberly M.J. Canova, for a change of stock interest to the common vic license, which goes keep for sale and to sell all kinds of alcoholic beverages to be drunk on the premises at 363 Old Colony Road, Norton, Mass. 27766.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Jack Jacoby. I'm the attorney for Mack & Waltz. My office is at 144 Bank Street in Attleboro. There were 4 shareholders. One of the minority shareholders, Allison Talapa, decided to move on to greener pastures. And so we have entered into an agreement with her to have the corporation redeem her shares. And so absolutely nothing else will change about Mack & Waltz. The other 3 shareholders will remain, the manager will remain. Nothing will change about the operation or the way that they conduct their business. So we are asking for your permission to reacquire Allison's stock and to have 3 owners instead of 4.
Okay. Sounds straightforward. Any questions?
on section 9, Article 9. I'm sorry, Articles of Organization.
I couldn't hear you, sir.
Sorry, on the Articles of Organization of the Commonwealth, the town of Norton is spelled wrong.
Really?
Northon.
Well, we can't change that because that was filed several years ago, and I apologize.
Actually, through the whole articles, actually, it's spelled wrong. It's several sections. Section F. G.
If there was a way to amend that, I would.
Just wanted to bring it to
I obviously, it was my fault because even though I didn't type it, I reviewed it. So I apologize.
No worries. If it was changeable, I would say, I just wanted to bring it to your attention now, but it sounds like our ship's already sailed.
Yep.
Where are you seeing that, Michael?
Under on page 45 of the Select Board agenda packet. It starts on section F and G.
Oh, I see it down at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I think you've just proven that you.
A blind squirrel finds a nut every now and again, so give it to me when I find it, all right?
No, I see it.
So you've read every word.
Yeah, good eye, Michael. Jeez. All right. Any questions on this? And Mike, is this just a matter of simple approval? Yes. I've gotten quite good at lip reading.
Well, seeing as you have to ask everyone, it's a roll call vote.
Okay.
Mike, is this a reissuance of, this has nothing to do with the comic book either, right? Correct?
Well,
Correct. This is just the requirement of the ABCC that if there's a change in stockholders, then we need your permission and theirs.
Thank you, Attorney.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I was being chatted to by my little one. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the. What's the language? I'm all off now. Off to a really stellar start.
Change of management. Yeah, I'm sorry, change of.
Change of stock interest of common vic license to expose, keep for sale, and to sell all kinds of alcoholic beverages as presented to the board.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All right, two motions and a second. Call that good. We'll do the roll. Michael?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Renee?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. And I'm happy to know nothing's going to change because the smothered burger and the fried pickles are the best.
Glad to hear that.
And the sweet potato fries. Don't change those, please. Those are delicious.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
Best of
guys.
luck.
Continued success, for sure.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, thank you.
Mike, do we need to close the public hearing or can we just move on?
yes.
Yeah.
All right. Chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All right. Michael?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Renee?
He converted Brad, yes?
And I too will say yes.
That shows how tired Brad is.
I know. You're just like, what do I say? After how many years, Brad?
Yeah.
Brad's running
I
on.
can see the finish line.
Brad's running on fumes, and Michael's staring at the COVID vaccine wall. So we're gonna have a fun end of the meeting. Moving on. Are there any announcements this evening? Seeing none. We'll keep train on moving.
We should have the, anybody remember the date for the spring bunny That's coming up, right?
March 27th at noon to 1:30.
I'm sorry, Peter, what was that?
March 27th from noon to 1:30 is a Spring Bunny Run, and I'm gonna be there. Will you be there? I will be there.
I'll be there. With ears on if I can find them. Thanks, Peter. That's the other, I think that's coming up. That's why I was to mention again.
So actually, I do have an announcement in support of getting information out for the upcoming debt exclusion. We'll be hosting a series of public information sessions starting next Tuesday, continuing on each Tuesday until the vote on April 10th. So that would be Tuesday, March 23rd, March 30th, and then Tuesday, April 6th at 7 p.m. We'll be getting the links and the meeting invites out and getting posted. It'll be hosted by myself, Diane O'Brien, Chair of PBC, Town Manager will be there, Dr. Bayetto will be on from Norton Public Schools, and just asking or answering any questions, providing overview of what the projects are and what's driving the need, talk about the cost impact, just really free-flowing open sessions. So come with questions, and hopefully you'll leave more informed than when you joined.
Mr. Chairman, will that session address the combination? There seems to be some confusion about the cost of the project, and that kind of explaining that they're not, it isn't an interest-free project, but the cost is the 40 million, give or take, but then there's interest. So there seems to be some confusion this week about that subject. Will that subject be addressed during these sessions?
Indeed it will. Yes, my blood pressure did increase a few points on Friday morning, I think it's safe to say. And for those either listening at home or watching later, the issue in question was Sun Chronicle published an article saying that the projects were a total of $57 million. And that is technically true, because that is factoring in 30 years of interest. However, the amount borrowed, what the town will be borrowing, is roughly 40.7 million, which is a number that we've been socializing for the past several months. So it's technically correct, but without a lot of the proper context, it gets very confusing and can be misleading. It's similar to when you take out a mortgage on a home. If you take out a $300,000 mortgage, your mortgage is $300,000. You don't say, I'm paying back, $750,000. So it's semantics and good finance, and apparently somebody said net present value, which is a concept that even after 20 some odd years in the business world, I still don't really have a firm grasp on. So, and Mike's
I love the context, Jack, too.
I think when we all bought our first home, I think we were all excited until you saw that large number at the bottom. Is this what I'm? Yes, that's excellent.
The max value per 100,000, as calculated by the town accountant, is 78 cents. So 78 cents per 100,000. And I believe the average home in town is, correct me if I'm wrong, 382.5.
78 cents per 100,000 or per 1,000?
Is it 1,000? Might be per 1,000. You're right.
Otherwise, we're getting a great deal. If I only have three, $4.
I was going to correct him. I'm glad you said it. I was like, he must be just talking about the interest on the debt, but I wasn't sure where to go with it.
Who's running this info session, Jack?
This is, wow. Nice. Coming out swinging. So for an average home in town, at a rate of 78 cents per 1,000, that would be $298.35 per year. And it goes down after about 10, 15 years. So with a lifetime total of, I believe, just under $2,100 per 100,000 on the home. So that's where we're at. Great. Moving on. We continue our foray into the FY22 budget with the water sewer department tonight. So I know I saw Frank on earlier. Welcome, Frank.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Hey, Frank.
Clear.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
want me to put the budget up?
Sure, please, if you would.
And Frank, let me know what you're doing first, water or sewer.
Tell me whatever's easier. They both pretty complicated.
What comes first? Can we get it up?
Did Frank just move himself to the end of our agenda?
I think I have a bad connection. I'm going to have to come back next week.
I don't think we'll be here next week, so.
Wait, we're doing sewer first. There are so many puns that I want to go on and kind of say here, but we'll just move forward.
PG, Michael, PG.
All right, take it away, Frank.
You'll see there's a few numbers in there. I hope you have the revised version. We did lower the capital estimate. We finally got our quotes in on our generator for the Norwood station. You'll see there's a significant increase in wages and salary. Most of that is contractual. We are going to try and fill a vacant position that's there. It would be a temporary full-time until a determination is made for a person who was injured some time ago and has been out for some time. So we do have to carry that line item over for that person as well. The interfund operating transfers are a little bit more than what was in there as an original estimate. You'll see that in there. It should be in red, I believe, if you guys have the same copy as I do.
And
That's the transferred back to the town, is that correct?
Correct. And the substantial number that's still in there is the increase on the MFN. I know there was a question a while back at how many sewer customers we actually had, and it actually comes up with a couple different answers depending on how you look at it. If you look at sewer connections, we actually have 1,454. Some of those connections serve multiple users, so it's not an exact number, but that'll give you an idea of what that change. I believe it's a $40,000 increase this year for the MFN compared to the previous year. So it is a substantial amount that you'll see going to the ratepayers.
Frank, can you elaborate in respect to going to the ratepayers? So is that a one-time fee? Is that rate or is it a rate increase that you've already talked about, or is it more than what you guys have talked about previously?
No, it has not been discussed as a rate increase. That is something that hasn't been done in sewer for some time, as I recall. Water was just done, and I believe is still in the process of going through the final stages. It is something we could look at in the future, but right now it is not on the table for discussion with the Board of Commissioners.
Okay, thank you.
These are our costs to be part of the Tri-County wastewater removal. There is a good chance in the near future, as the favorite subject that seems to come up in every conversation that I have is PFAS. Not only does it have to be removed from drinking water, it also has to be removed from wastewater. So we will see increases, I believe, across the board for that in both water and wastewater.
And Frank, you know what? I was supposed to send that email that you sent to me on PFAS to the board, and just realized as you were speaking that I forgot to do that. Can you just give a quick 1-minute summary on what exactly that is for our awareness?
I will touch on that and keep it as brief as possible. Basically, it's a forever chemical. It's found in just about everything you can think of, unfortunately. Majority of people have a percentage of it in their body because it has been consumed at some point. It's a forever chemical that ends up ultimately in the aquifer through human waste, obviously going into a septic system, reaching back into the aquifer through filtration in the ground. That's one of those man-made products that remains in the water, and obviously, downstream after filtration, when it's removed from the ground, whether it be in a private well or a town well, it can be detected in drinking water. Unfortunately, most of our communities around the area have detected it, so I have to assume and prepare for the worst and hope for the best. It is a very expensive chemical to remove from water. It would be additional treatment facilities that would have to be built and installed after the iron and manganese removal. I believe the smallest plant that our neighboring community has to put in right now, I believe, is up in the $3 million range, and that's at one of their facilities. Everything is hinged on test results, which we are due to take next month once those results are back. depending on the sample result, we would have to do public education and awareness, and we would have to implement a plan based on DEP recommendations as how to remove that chemical or lower that chemical below the threshold at whatever facility it was picked up on. And very similar to source water, we still put out the manganese report for our well 1, which is typically higher than their action level. This will be a little higher on the needs list. They have the possibility of actually shutting down water sources if the level is too high and you can't efficiently blend the water sources in the distribution system. It's an ongoing learning process. There's been multiple webinars and seminars and brochures that have gone out. Unfortunately, a few of them are contradicting, so I get the information straight from the DEP. We have a sort of contact over there that has been working with us, very limited because we don't have any sample results yet. So instead of taking their time up, we only pick and choose what we want to ask the questions right now. But unfortunately, this chemical is one of 10,000 or so compounds, and it has been found in everything from laundry detergent, not to drop a brand name, but Tide is a well-known detergent. It was found in there up to about, I think, 10 or 12 years ago. And all the fast food containers that have that wonderful wax coating on there, and anything non-stick. It also includes firefighting foam, which I know Norton changed many years ago. But again, it's a forever chemical. It's something that could have been used in the 70s or 80s. And if it was ever able to find its way into the aquifer, there's a very good chance it still remains there. So there's a lot to learn. A lot will be moving forward once we do have our results back. And again, we're preparing for the inevitable and hoping for the best.
Thanks, Frank. Appreciate that.
Sorry it was longer than a minute.
No, that's okay. It was informative. Thank you.
So there's not too much on the sewer. I mean, if there's anything that really stands out to you guys, let me know and I can address that.
Frank, how many customers do we have on the sewer at this point? I know we've got Mansfield and so forth. But how many total customers are feeding into the sewer treatment plant?
The sewer treatment plant in the MFN?
I'm sorry, our sewage, how many customers do we have?
Yep. We have it down as just under 1,500. It's about 1,450. Again, it varies because that's service connections, not actual residents.
Okay.
So if you want to look at a place like, for example, the Big E Apartments, 274 East Main Street, there's 8 or 9 buildings there, but obviously there's more than 8 or 9 people that live there. So to break it down customer-wise would be a little bit more difficult. It could be done if you really want that number. I just don't have it right now.
No, that's connections is fine. Okay. What's your projection? What do you see your projection in the next year or so going up to?
With or without PFAS involved? If you're throwing the PFAS number in there, I wish I had the crystal ball. I really don't know. MFN sets their rates. It's something that we don't have control over. We are actually the smallest portion that feeds into the MFN, so the other 2 communities that are in there do pay substantially more than we do. It's all based on percentage and flow going through the facility.
Flow through, okay.
Any other questions for Frank on sewer? All right. Let's move on to water. While we do that, just to clarify for anyone who's not sure, the water and sewer is an enterprise fund, so they are funded through the rates that they set, and the money is coming in from residents and connections in town. This is not something that comes off the top of the town budget.
Mr. Chairman, before we move on to water, Frank, is there anything on the sewer side that you'd say, you just didn't put it in the budget, but you wish that you could have had it on the line item on a budget or so forth for the town that you think would be beneficial, but just too expensive or just wouldn't make the numbers? Is there anything that on your wish list on the sewer side?
Actually, there's quite a few things on there. The one thing that would really stick out to me would actually be a building for storage for the sewer equipment. Right now, they share the storage facility. I believe I've come before, maybe 2 years ago, maybe last year, I'd asked for a building. It was not approved at the time, but having the sewer storage, the vehicles, the equipment in the same storage garage as some of our water equipment and extra supplies can be problematic. thankfully, again, knock on wood, it has not been. You know, we make do, but we do have vehicles that remain outside, and it's tough to spend money replacing vehicles when we don't have the shelter for them. So definitely something that you will see coming along probably in the near future. Again, I propose an estimate for a new sewer building. It would still be on the property down here, but it would be a separate building entirely, so it would have its own electric, its own heat, and obviously the upkeep of the building as well.
Okay, and that did make it onto that is making it onto the capital the capital wish lists every year. Is that building making it onto that list?
It was on the capital wish list. I don't have my wish list in front of me. I'm not sure if I pulled it. I believe I just had it a little bit.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
We good to go to water?
Ready for you guys, huh?
Good. Take us away.
I know there was a question a while back. We'll jump right down to the one of the bigger numbers that pop out there. The electricity, which is a huge expense. It is. This is an estimated number, unfortunately. This is actually the same thing I'm going to explain right now is basically going to go and also fall in line with the chemical costs that we have in there as an estimate. Right now, with the new water treatment facility being online, it has been online since last February, so we have come up to the 1 year mark. The issue that we have is that we're at just about 50% capacity, so all the numbers that you see in here for this budget are pretty low. You know, we have 3 wells that feed that facility that the iron and manganese is removed from. 2 of those wells are major producing wells. I know we talked about this before. They're in the process of actually being replaced due to age, and it's time. You can't clean them and have any type of sufficient turnaround after a certain amount of years. The gravel pack around the bottom of the well gets clogged with the iron and manganese, the same problem that we've had to remove for years. So at a certain point in time, you look for a new source location. We did that. We expended money in the previous year for phases 1 through 4. We found very new suitable locations with that money was appropriated and spent. We will see, I apologize if I lose you, it says the internet connection is unstable. We're going to need to put an upgrade in for that.
We lost you for a second, but you're back now.
All right, yeah, the internet connection said it was unstable for a while. Sorry about that. So there is substantial increases in cost to operate that new facility, electric, gas, and staffing, and we're at 50%. So I have estimates in here based on the best projected numbers that we can come up with, looking at a previous year for money expended and doubling it, taking a little bit off. And the reason we're taking a little bit off, this is going to go also with the chemical down below, is we have 3 wells. I don't know if you heard me say 3 wells that feed this facility. So we're going to save a little bit of money on the chemical that we would typically add at those 3 sources. And because we are now filtering the water and removing the iron and manganese, we actually use a little bit less chemical for disinfection. So, you know, base it over the years, it's probably a $30,000 savings, maybe $10,000 of each of those 3 wells at the current rate. So you're going to see the big increases there that'll probably jump out at you as they do me. The increase in electricity, propane, and natural gas. I'm not sure if any of you guys have even seen the new facility yet. I know we were going to have a wonderful grand opening right before COVID. So it will happen at some point. Maybe a grand reopening, or however you want to call it. We'll have you guys down and show you around. Once you see the size of this facility, I think you get an idea of why the electrical costs are so much, why the gas prices are so much, and we also know that the cost of fuel everywhere is starting to rise. So we added that into the budget as well, as far as a known increase. There was a question before. We jump down to the next line that looks like it's highly inflated, and that's going to be the chemicals line. So we have a number in here, $255,000. If you go back to either one of the previous expended amounts, $146,000 or $133,000, these two amounts were before the treatment facility was actually online. So we have essentially, we can look at doubling that because we're at 50% capacity, and we actually had to add another chemical for coagulation at the treatment facility. So what I did is I took the 146,000 from the previous expended year, multiplied that times 3, come up with 292, and we knocked off just roughly 40,000 to bring it down to the 255. That's again a guesstimate, but we believe that's the cost savings that we'll see by not putting chemical at 3 of the facilities that are now moving the raw water to this new treatment facility. Hope I didn't cut out or lose you guys there. Did I confuse anything? Again, we don't have any really good numbers to hit hard on. We don't have a 6-month operating budget at 100% that I could just say I'm going to double it and this is going to be where it's at. The other concern that's there, to be completely honest with you, is the increase on the surge. We had a problem, I'm thinking maybe 10 years ago. We went out, we have certain products that we purchased from surge that we get very good rates on, and the same thing happened. There was an increase, substantial increase in fuel costs, and they actually put the surge, they didn't honor the big prices that we got because of fuel charges. At that time, the cost actually doubled, not just for the chemical, but also for the delivery charge. So there's a substantial possibility that we could see that again, as I know it hurt my wallet to fill my tank in my truck.
Mr. Chairman? Frank, have you guys looked at, I don't know the exact layout of the property, is there any solar opportunities here to kind of reduce the energy usage at all, or anything like that? Have you guys looked into that?
It was something that was discussed early on in the design phase, and because of the limitations that we had for the, I think it was National Heritage that had come down, they made us reconfigure the site multiple different times because there were some artifacts that were found after an investigation was done in the area. There was no viable option to put solar panels there. We are part of, I can't remember the name of it, I know Mike has signed us up for it, so we do have a discount at 2 of our well locations from the solar facility that is on Hill Street. I don't believe any of that discount is applied to the water treatment facility. It is something we will be looking at in the future, possibly get it on other department-owned land, if not at that facility there. And in the event that we are required to put in additional buildings and filters, there's a very good possibility it would make perfect sense to put it on the roof.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and Frank, the other line items I couldn't even. I mean, I could try to question the chemical items, but you would eat me up for lunch. Than spit me up for my lack of knowledge.
I really not to beat a dead horse. We just don't have any really good numbers. We're running at a lower capacity than we really wanted to. We have enough water to get by. We can't wait until wells 5 and 6 go online. I know there was some question about that also, about the money, if we were going to borrow the money or if we were going to take it out of retained earnings. We have to hold a certain percentage of retained earnings for multiple different reasons. One is usually if we have a shortfall, which we usually have a shortfall every year because it's a revolving account. Not everybody pays their bills on time. If it goes to tax lien, we don't see that money until the next fiscal year. So there's always a small shortfall, but we've always had retained earnings and shown it's not really even a profit. It's just retained earnings there as a cushion to fall back on. It satisfies DOR, it satisfies Mass DEP, because you need to have a percentage of, and this goes 4 different ways, either a percentage of your total annual operating budget or a percentage of the most valuable vulnerable asset. In years past, many people have questioned why we carry a $2.5 or $2.7 million in retained earnings. That's about 50% of our operating budget, and that would cover one of our tanks if we had a catastrophic failure. Now, our newest and most valuable asset is $7.3 million treatment plant. we don't come close to 15% if we carry 2.5 million in repayment. If that number gets exorbitant, because we do have a building, which we haven't had in some time, we'll be bringing receipts from building, that money is also used to offset, so we don't have to go borrow and raise the town borrowing rate. And the small projects are funded by the retained earnings, as also purchasing our vehicles and equipment come from retained earnings, so it's a balancing act.
Thank you for the explanation on the retained earnings.
Yeah.
That is insightful and extremely good to know, so thank you for that.
I hope we're not boring anybody, I'm sorry, I get carried away.
No, this is great.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep, go ahead, Michael.
Is it, I know that you guys have done an amazing job to address over the last, especially on the last update, I think you said you got like 5 calls over a quarter or something for brown water and so forth, and you guys have worked very hard to address it. I know you guys also, I know a lot of you guys have worked where you take it very personal, which is, you never want them to take it personal, but they take pride in their work. Is there, but there's still, I'm not sure if it's just insecurities or whatever it is, town people that are looking for water options. Is there been any discussion amongst your operations team that to have a dispenser of some sort outside the water facility that might be able to be hooked up, or residents could even pay for water, a dispenser outside the facility, or has it just not ever been really even a discussion because you've been focused on just fixing the problem?
It makes more sense to me. I'm sure other people might disagree. It would make more sense to make sure that we have clean water going to everybody's home, so they don't have to rely on going to a facility. You want clean water. You don't just want it, in a gallon jug. You want it for your wash machine. You want it for your bathtub. You want it for your toilets. Cleaning those is even a problem. As it used to be with the iron and manganese. It makes more sense to me to make sure that the water is clean as possible, getting to the homeowners, and not having them have to reach out to go find a new source. I know many people, myself included, love these little plastic bottles of water. If you really did some reading on them, you'd be surprised and see, they aren't held to the same standards as drinking water supplies are.
Agreed.
And the water quality goes.
Okay, and what's the wish list item for the water side? Is there anything that didn't make this budget you'd say I wish it was on the?
Well, if we could lower that inter-fund operating transfer that we see there in red of $533,000, oddly enough, that is almost the same amount that we might have a shortfall if we would close receipts right now. Many years ago, probably 30 or 35 years ago, the water department actually used to charge the fire department for hydrant maintenance. And that's something that hasn't been done in some time. It may be something that gets looked at in the future. The average cost of a hydrant right now is about $7,500, not installed. We go out, we flush them twice a year, we paint them, we grease them, make sure that they work. And any of them that unfortunately are turned the wrong way get replaced or repaired. And it may be something that we have to look at to try and knock that number down a little bit. And if anybody's interested in some employment, we do have some vacancies over here.
And what vacancies are those, Frank?
We're actually going to have a vacancy on they're a joint department, so they're both water and sewer positions. So we're going to have a vacancy in the sewer department, but you would have to be duly licensed. And we have 2 open spots right now on the water, but that is not something that we've had any luck with based on the requirements with the license.
As well as it looks like there's going to be a vacancy on the commission as well.
You are correct.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
When Frank's on, Frank, could you just talk about the Norwood sewer pump station? Originally it was $100,000, now you have a better estimate. What is that now?
Yep, sorry, I figured you guys already had that. My apologies. The estimate that was in there on that capital, I had in at $100,000. based on some quick discussions I had with a few generator companies. I have the 3 estimates in hand, and the lowest estimate for that turnkey is in at $57,000. So you'll see that will come from retained earnings, as well as phase 2 of our Pop Street improvements. That's $300,000 that will come from retained sewer earnings as well.
So a question for Frank and Mike. Would the train project that's going on be something that they could look at the new water treatment plant?
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Yep.
Just didn't know if that building was in scope.
Like, have those reviews started, the audits for the municipal building?
They're starting next week.
Okay.
And Mike, to Jack's point, is it in scope?
Frank, did they reach out to you yet?
I have heard nothing about it.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure they do.
No, so Mike, I guess.
Did it exist?
I get my question is it in scope? Because when we reviewed that, we listed all the buildings, and I just recall.
I don't think it was, so we'll have to see if it can be added in.
Okay, that's going to change the contract, probably. I'm guessing, right?
I don't know that it existed at the time.
No.
Did it? Initially?
I don't think it did.
And we covered the town hall and the community support center because they were COA and town hall existing, and it would just be covered under the new. This was a while ago.
Yeah.
Mike, you'll follow up on that though, see if you can put it in.
Even if train's not an option, I know there's a lot of solar companies out there that would be happy to work on something like this. I think the train initiative is mostly to focus on older, energy inefficient buildings. Yeah. So which obviously that plant is brand new and I'm assuming state of the art. So not a lot to gain there. So I think that would make sense to not include it. All right. Anything else for Frank?
It is state of the art. Difficult to actually get parts for when we need to have redundancies on the shelf. It's the newest one on the northeast area. So great that it's state of the art. A little difficult to get people to come this way and make some adjustments. A lot of stuff we've worked with our technicians, and we've had phone conferences or Zoom calls, and we've actually done some of the adjustments in-house on some of the new things. So great to have the technology there. Just not everybody else in this area is up to speed with that one facility like we are. Going off on the solar, there was actually a mention a while back of doing something down here at the Water and Sewer Department land out the back. I know Glenwood about it. Not sure if that was forgotten about, but it is definitely still out here. Plenty of room there.
Something to look at now with the energy costs going up there. Mr. Chairman, may I ask one more question?
Go for it.
Mr. Fournier, I'm going to ask this question, and I'm going to caution it when I ask it. Obviously, with the proposed charter change, it affects your department pretty substantially. Do you see of any costs that would affect your department with the change of structure? And I'm not sure if they're defined or not, but I wanted to throw it out there and ask the question.
I'm sure there's always a potential for additional cost, depending on what goes on with the vote. Right now, we are short one person on the board. Obviously, we have another vacancy that will be coming up pretty soon. That poses a whole another problem. I know Mike was going to reach out to council to find out what happens. I don't think any board has been that short on members where they couldn't have a quorum. So I know we're waiting to hear back from legal with that. But we cannot have any delays in billings being processed and things moving forward. So I'm sure somebody at some point may have to be appointed, or maybe Mike would take that position. I'm sure we could have him here on Tuesday nights as well.
Yeah,
I don't see him smiling.
I guess this would be more towards Michael Units. I would love to see, just if you and Frank might be able to get together just to understand what the impact is. And I think it's an important question for the public to understand. Well, you know, not to say one way or the other, but these real things. We're in a tight budget. If there are any outlay costs for the change, if the change happened, what those would be.
For water and sewer.
For water and sewer, right? Because they're projecting it that the change basically goes, from what I understand, maybe to the underneath the town manager operation. On paper, it doesn't look like there would be any cost, but I've never seen a large change like that happening without there being costs.
Well, the cost to water and sewer would be, if you have a public works director, the water budget and the sewer budget are substantially higher than the highway budget. So whatever percentage of the budget of the salary for the water, for the superintendent or the public works director, whatever portion of their time is spent on water and is spent on sewer would be paid out of water and sewer from the ratepayers.
I would love to see if they, as you're kind of going forward, and it may not, like I said, you may not even do it now, but I would love to see it if you guys start thinking about it, if just in case the vote does happen.
Yeah, definitely something to start a discussion about. We'd have to have a range for that person and see where that's going to affect either department's budget.
Agreed, sir.
Great.
There may be one thing I should explain. Mike, could you put up the capital, the revised capital again?
Sure.
Please. I believe there was a question about this last time, so.
We get to it.
Sure. But basically, it was about the White Street water main improvement, White Street at East Main. There's a small section of pipe up there that is old and undersized, sandwiched between two larger sized mains. We didn't want to get too involved with doing any large projects, obviously not knowing how COVID was going to play out, and with the other projects that are already going on this year. The highway department will be paving Pine Street at our cost. We'll be working with them. That was a water main that was installed last year. Obviously, the West Main Street sewer project, that's also going to be built and paved this year, so we'll have people out there doing markouts and making sure things go accordingly. And then we have the DOT project that the state is putting on out on East Main Street. So our guys will be spread pretty thin. So we looked through the capital plan, the master improvement plan that we had, and found this small project here on White Street. And it actually would be funded instead of borrowing or taking funds from retained earnings. There are actually leftover funds from the previous project that was the Reservoir Street and Elm Street. So those remaining funds, the request would be to transfer that to pay for that water main improvement. That's the $350,000 listed under other transfers on the updated form.
Has that already been voted on, Mike? Sorry,
Yes, capital has voted on it already.
But I mean, to move the funds, like, does that have to be, to move the funds from Reservoir Street over? Does that have to be voted on at town meeting?
I'll have to check and see how they were phrased. Do you have an article for that, Frank, or were they just phrased as water main projects?
The last money that was there, that money actually got moved around more than once, believe it or not.
Yeah.
It went from Reservoir Street, and then it also went to Holmes and East Main Street.
Right.
And the article has the words East Main Street in it. So there was discussion where this is going to be White Street at East Main. That was a possibility. We could just use that money without asking for
That's right.
transfer. That is where, that's my last recollection on that.
Yeah.
So Mike, you're saying we wouldn't need an article to allocate the funds to a different
No, because we did
line
that.
item?
We did that at a previous town meeting.
Okay.
Going once, twice, 3 times. Frank, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Just running away. Oh,
Nope, go
you're
ahead.
so close, Frank.
No,
So close.
after you're done with Frank, go ahead.
I suggest you take that opportunity and get well to getting good, Frank.
I will do
Thank you,
that.
Frank.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks, Frank.
Good night.
All right, Mike, back to you.
I just wanted to ask you, the chief has some people on from the community counseling in Bristol County, and is there any way that we could go to that next?
I think we can certainly make that happen.
Evening, Chief.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chief.
Hi, Peter.
Doing good today?
All right, thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome, Chief. Who do you have with you tonight?
So I have, want to make an announcement on a new program that we've started and introduce Courtney Maddow and Corey Sheets, both from the Community Counseling Center of Bristol County, which is located at 108 West Main Street in our town. Give you a little history. So back in 2015, we started a problem-oriented policing unit. Really was out of the opioid addiction that struck, where, you know, the two officers do follow-ups. It's one of these things where we said we weren't going to arrest our way out of a problem. We were going to get people resources that they needed. From there, officers attended community crisis intervention training, and all officers have attended mental health first aid. So in 2017, we really started a relationship with CCBC, and Courtney has been riding along pre-COVID with our officers one time a month. And this is really a natural progression where we started last week to have a clinician, a master's level educated clinician, ride along with our officers to handle mental health related issues that come up. And it's been 2 weeks, but I think it's been eye-opening. You know, this is a what we call a co-responder model. It's a jail diversion program where they're able to assess people's need for services really quicker than we would be able to, and get them services that they need. So that's kind of an overview, and maybe I can just have Courtney talk about CCBC and the relationship a little bit as well.
Sure. So good evening, everyone. Community Counseling of Bristol County has its main roots in Taunton, just down the road, but we have been providing services there on West Main Street for over a decade. So as of 2017, specifically, that building hosts our crisis intervention team and our crisis stabilization unit. You know, crisis can sound pretty intense and scary, but really we're here to help those struggling with a mental or behavioral health or substance use and abuse concern, no matter how big or small. We are tasked to try and prevent the need for hospitalization. So really looking towards partnership with our local community to figure out how can we keep folks at home with those that they know and those that they love, with the supports necessary. And of course, we get to juggle all the fabulous things like access to care, you know, wait lists, insurance, and things like that, trying to make it as easy as possible for a person to access services. So, and then as far as the crisis stabilization unit, we are a very small facility there on West Main, trying to provide individualized care on a much calmer setting than a hospital setting. So we at times treat, say, 6 to 8 adult patients at a time, voluntarily, really trying to provide that community-based home-like feel for a support and stabilization period to help get them home as soon as possible, and again, avoid a hospitalization stay. So Corey's been a part of our team now for some years. She's one of our senior clinicians. She's a licensed social worker and is working towards her independent licensed social worker, and she's here with us as well. I'll have her introduce herself, but she's been the one participating with the police these past couple weeks.
Yep. Hi, my name's Corey. And yeah, I've been with the Norton PD team for a few weeks now, and I feel like it's going really well. I've gotten to meet several members of the community already, and I think things are going really smoothly.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any specific questions from the board?
Yeah.
I'm gonna break protocol a bit here and just go first here. I love this idea. This is so smart, just so well timed. Just kudos to you and all involved for setting this program up before we have an issue. I mean, it's just another great example of Norton Police being out at the forefront of improving things.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman?
Yep, Michael.
Chief Clark, what's the design of this program? I mean, so we just started it. It sounds like it's being received well so far. Or I mean, let me back up. It started way back when under the OB. It's kind of progressed to at this point. What's your vision of how this is going to roll out? Is this a test, or is this something that you're looking to do for 6 months and then implement it as full strategy? Or
well, right now, obviously there's always a funding issue, right? So, if right now there's no cost to the town to do this. CCBC will basically take on any costs that they have. What I would like to see going forward is I think we should look into partnering with another community and doing this more along the lines of, say, 40 hours a week split between a couple communities where we have more access to a clinician. We've been in talks with some other communities to do that. One didn't work out because they went in a different direction with a different group. But I think that's the way that things will hopefully go forward. I don't think this is going to go away. I think this is, the future. One of the things last week, which is, you never know what's going to happen and what day is going to happen. But I think Corey would say that, the time that she spent with us has been busy. They've done a lot of follow-up, but there have also been a few calls for service that she's been able to handle, which, in one particular case, there was somebody that came down to the police department looking for help for a family member, and she was right there, and it was just perfect timing. And, it was just handled really, really great. So, we get our calls for service from a bunch of different groups, assisting medical calls, disturbances, general disturbances, well-being checks. All of those, we've had about 171 cases since January. And mental health is kind of sprinkled into those types of cases. So those are the cases that we'll be following up on.
That's great. I mean, police department tends to be the catch-up, and I'm glad that you and the Bristol County are kind of coming together to address the mental health components that seem to be rising, especially in these times that we're in.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you. Thank you, ladies.
So Chief, if I may ask, because when you start talking about this, I immediately start thinking about funding. And from the sound of it, obviously we recently approved a change in our marijuana bylaws, and part of that change has allowed us to enter into host community agreements with marijuana establishments, and we have community benefit fees coming from those establishments. So I'd like you to consider, and Mike as well, right, we can have conversations on this, what sort of funding that we can provide from those HCAs. They're specific to substance abuse, and I think, I think it's great that we look to partner with other communities, but I think as well we should look at, what revenue are we, well, it's not really revenue, but what monies are we going to have as part of our engagements with different marijuana establishments? Because I think it may actually fall under, community impact fees, but I think it probably falls more under the community benefit fees that we'll be collecting. So I think we have an opportunity through these new engagements and the new business within Norton to provide some funding to this. And I think it's great that we do it. I think anything that we can do to keep people with their families and an environment that provides support so that they can overcome, the issues that they have, I think we should look at it. So, Mike, if you and the chief can take that off and kind of think about how that would work, and then you and I can have some conversations with town council on the monies that are coming in and how we can allocate appropriately.
That would be great. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, is this one of those things that we need to address in this budget, Chief, or is this something that we're still at the beginning stages here? Even if it's a small amount, is this something that needs to be addressed in this budget, or can it wait until the next right, fiscal year.
But, you know, it's actually, I've had some sidebar conversations with Courtney about this, about, you know, funding and things like that. So maybe I could have a little bit more discussion and talk to the town manager about it, and, you know, maybe revisit it in the, you know, depending on what happens with the charter, but, you know, for a fall town meeting issue.
And have you even broached the subject yet with kind of almost our sister towns of Mansfield, Foxborough? Have you Easton? Have you approached the subject with any of them yet?
I've talked to Mansfield. Mansfield's going in a different direction, and I have had some sidebar conversations with Easton. Taunton is actually doing the same thing with CCBC, but the problem with Taunton is it's just so large that it's not something, you know, that probably fits into what we're doing at this point anyways. Not that it wouldn't, but, you know, initially I don't think it's the right course of action to take.
Right.
All right. Any other questions for Chief Clark? All right. I'll say again, wonderful initiative. Really, really amazing. Keep up the good work.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to Courtney and Corey for joining too.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do, ladies. And you can do that.
All right, so I believe we will jump back in time. Discuss and/or vote on the focus of the recreation department.
Or is this some? I've lost track of where we are in this agenda.
Number 3 under new business towards the top of the second page.
I see. Thank you.
Page 58. So this came about, Mike, you provided us with some insight in respect to the previous focus of Parks and Recreation, specifically in the maintenance or support of pool operations, the swimming pool operations. And so I think it opened the door for us to have a broader conversation, as you had indicated, from a policy perspective on what we feel the focus of the recreation department is, because I don't know what you guys think, but I certainly think at this point, and probably for the past several years, it's by far more than just keeping the pool open. Especially, you know, I know we've talked about it multiple times coming out of the pandemic. I think the need for community support, having resources and services, you know, provided for recreational needs or leisure, entertainment, socialization. Like I think those things are certainly heightened, and I think it's probably time that we look at what really is the focus of Parks and Recreation, because I don't feel that it's appropriately assigned right now to just say to keep the pool open and do a couple of fundraisers for the pool, right? I think that the current, like, you know, I think of some of the activities now that are done, right? I know we've seen some fundraising, like from the DJ side, but there have also been, I think Sharon actually talked about it earlier, right? They were looking to do the Taste of Norton, you know, so another activity to bring the community together. I think there's been talk about a farmer's market. There were, you know, line dancing put together. And is Sharon still on? Sharon, can you talk a little bit about, I believe at some point you had mentioned a grant. I can't remember if that was in recent conversation. I think it may have been part of the budget conversation.
Hi, sorry. Okay, here I am. I ran into some technical issues. So we have, right now, we've been given a grant from the Norton Cultural Council to do a Friday night concert series, family-oriented, at Everett Leonard. So that's something we're planning to do probably in July, starting in July. My hesitation is because I don't know what the state numbers will allow, and that's obviously a big factor. But we're trending in the right direction, so I think we will be able to start that in July as long as we don't have any setbacks on our numbers for outdoor activities. So that's the grant that we're waiting, that we have gotten, and we're also waiting to hear on a grant that we've been fortunate enough to get for the past couple of years to help us pay our lifeguard salaries.
Thanks, Sharon. And so part of that, again, like I think, we've gone, I think what Sharon's done and what others have done have been beyond just focusing on pool operations. But I think especially now, with the fact that we've all been in like a shelter at home position, I think there are so many benefits individually from family and community benefits that Parks and Rec can provide. And I certainly think, when you hear about, mental health is like a perfect example, right? During the pandemic, mental health, both in children and in adults, has increased, children quite significantly. And I think the benefit of us having and refocusing and reprioritizing what Parks and Rec does can really help from a community perspective and a personal perspective to bring people out, help socialization. I think, Sharon, like some of these activities that you've done, I think that they're great, and I think at this point, it's not. We need to recognize that there's more, and I think that the board, from a policy perspective, can certainly help to shape what that is and help kind of forge the path forward. So, I don't know, Michael or Brad or Jack, if you have any comments.
Renee, I would agree with you 100%. I mean, if someone said, I've heard it over and over a lot even before I was a member of this board, the select board should be setting the direction of the town. If I was asked what two directions the town should be, is one would be the HR person, which I've made it very clear, and I won't go down a 15-minute rant on that, but the recreation department is the second part of it. To a point where I would almost love to get a commission together and look at models like Walpole, where the town several years ago made some made some investments to make an independent and almost enterprise account where it runs by itself. We have to start thinking bigger than just a group that's going to keep the pool open. Organize the annual town picnic and those kinds of things, with the Founders Day, I apologize. I think the town wants more. They don't know what it is, but when times get tough, it's the first department that gets cut. And it's the last department to get refunded. So we have to start thinking of it in a different way to try to keep it alive and make investments in it to sustain it to a full-time position, more hours, more programming, bring it to another level, because the town wants it. From the young to the elderly want it. So I'm not even sure if elderly is the right word anymore. I was like, not to say it.
Probably searching for a different word and couldn't find it.
Yeah, seniors. There we go, seniors.
Senior, adult, mature, any of those.
Thanks, Renee. All right, I appreciate it.
Even the mayor Norton enjoys the festivities, and hopefully we'll have more.
Sorry, Peter.
It's great.
Not quite yet.
But just to wrap up there, I do think that this is one of those things that we as a board should be looking at and really setting the direction of town of moving this department forward.
Yeah, and I think, to your point, like Michael, you meant like special events, right? Like we were just talking about the spring bunny thing. I mean, it seems like such a small thing, but from the past, and the pandemic has certainly changed this. Right now, it's not like we're just doing on 123 and everybody gets together. I mean, I got to tell you, like I really miss the Halloween. Us doing the Halloween parade, because it was a really fun time, and the kids enjoy it, and families are out, and it's just it's that old cliche, like families that play together stay together, right? So it provides another opportunity, not only for the community to get out, but for families to do something together too. And I think it's incredibly important, from special events to programs that you do, to these things like a farmers market and concert series. I mean, it's huge. And the other thing too, and you think about it, but it's interesting because when people start to look, you look at purchasing a home and where do you want to go, like what are one of the benefits? And one of the benefits, schools are always in like the top 5, but something else that people look at, well, what are the services that are offered? What's the community doing? And I think we have an opportunity here that we shouldn't overlook. And so I don't know how the process is. I mean, I'm certainly more than happy to come up with some sort of language and run that by Mike and Sharon, just for initial feedback and bring it back to the board. But I think this is something that we should support and we should consider it as part of the budgeting process this year, because we are in a completely different place than we were 2 years ago, and I think the importance of socialization and what we can do. And Sharon, I give you credit and certainly kudos for organizing things and keeping like COVID requirements in mind and figuring out how can we do this and still bring people together but still do it safely, right? Like right now, we're hopeful that the vaccinations will continue and that the rates will stay down. I can tell you globally things are shifting where the new variants are causing positivity rates to go back up. If it mirrors the previous two waves, it's not great for us for the summer. But if we can kind of thwart that with our vaccination process, then we may have a chance for the summer and for more programs to take place and bring people together. So, I know we're stuck on the requirements for people to get together before we really do anything, but I think if the board takes a stance now to change that focus and reprioritize this, so that we really do look to determine how can we support the community more, I think it's just a positive step that we can take. So I don't know what you guys think of that process. But yeah, please, Brian.
Just historically, I can remember when the recreation department organized and took ski trips up north. They were very active with all kinds of activities for people. We had the full-time recreation director, and when the economy downturned and we got hit, that went, like you said, the first thing to go. And we didn't have a director. We had actually, I think it was Sherry Cohen was the volunteer director, and we relied on volunteers to run the department, which wasn't good, but it filled the gap. And that's, I think, when the requirement of keeping the pool open happened. And that was only because if the pool closed, it would be impossible for us to reopen it to get it recertified or whatever. I don't know the exact terminology, but the state probably wouldn't have let us use it again. And I don't think you have to worry so much about, the focus of it. Just tell them, let them go at organizing events. And it's just, it's unfortunate that I think the directions were for the people who were not being paid. There was just volunteers running a town department while we couldn't afford it. And I'm not aware of any directions or responsibilities of what they were going to organize prior to having to get rid of the department head because of lack of funds. But I mean, I think just building upon what Sharon's been doing over the past several years, and it's great. I mean, just expanding, and especially if she's got a good recreation committee to help support her, there should be no limit to it, to what we can do, except for the fact that we have to come up with the money. And I just want to say that I too missed the parade this past year. I think I ended up probably throwing out 40 or 50 pounds of candy because it went bad. But other than that, yeah, I think everything Sharon's been doing has been outstanding. I don't know how she comes up with some of the ideas through COVID, because I've been just kind of sitting in my corner over here binge watching old television shows, and her imagination is excellent. And I think just if she had, this is just, I don't think she needs it. I'm trying to say she doesn't need an outline. Let her imagination go for it, and we just have to support her. I'm done rambling.
No, Brett, I think that's good. I think I'd go back to Mike and him saying that the policy that was set forth was to the pools, and it sounds like we need to update that policy then. And I don't know, Mike, where that is, if that's bylaws, just general policy.
No, just what, as I said before, what happened was when I started in Norton, we had no veterans agent. We had no COA director. They had got rid of recreation. Our planning director retired, and they hired him back part-time. He's more or less just staff to the planning board. So slowly we added the veterans agent, the planning director, the COA director, and recreation was all, like COA, was all run by volunteers, and it just became too much for the volunteers. And that's when the board had said, as Brad said, we got to keep the pool open, we need someone there, and that's when we added the position back. Just a couple things I would say in answer. I know Michael was talking about, fund. Well, recreation does have a revolving fund, so, any money that can be raised from fundraisers, events, the rental of the pools goes into that fund. And the other thing I would suggest for this year is to look at what we can do with the money we're getting from the federal government because of COVID, and see if we can direct some of that towards more hours in recreation. Because right now, as we go through the budgets, with what everyone submitted, our deficit is $1.9 million. Now, I've cut that down to 700,000, but still working on it. But if we could use some of those federal funds and for, legitimate things to do because of COVID and the way it's affected children in town, then we might be able to do that.
I think we should consider too, like what opportunities we have to actually raise funds, right? So while I like the idea of you using COVID monies to do that, I think this is it's kind of like one of those things like we talked about with the athletic fields, right? Like we spend the money to do the athletic fields, but you end up making money to pay for the operational expenses, right? So like what things can we focus on that Sharon already is doing for events where it does raise money and puts more in the revolving fund. So I think, like I said, I certainly, I'm more than willing to draft something up so that the board can, officially kind of move from keeping the pools open to doing so much more to support the community. And then, we can go from there, if that sounds good. But I appreciate the history in the background. I think, Mike, to your point, we have some opportunities with the COVID funds, given, what's changed, like, when people and communities overall. I'm sorry, were you going to say something else, Mike? You said,
I was just going to say we should also get the input from the commission itself, the Recreation Commission.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. Maybe we can have them draft it. Kidding, Sharon. I won't put that all on somebody.
I've been quiet during that part, but I don't think I could say it any better than my fellow board mates. Kudos. And so Renee, you'll draft up some sort of policy proclamation?
Sure. Yep, and I'll send that. Sharon, I don't know when your board meets, but I can email you separately, and then, or when your commission, are you committee, commission, board? Commission. So I'll send that to you separately, and you guys can take a crack, and then we can circle back with Mike, and then come back to the board. Does that sound good?
Yes, thank you.
Sharon?
No, thank you.
And Sharon, you're doing a good job with the recreation department, and I enjoy all the events, and I can't wait to watch the concert in July, and hopefully I'm praying that the cases will go down and the vaccinations go up, and I'm not worried about the variants at all because variants are a part of what virus mutate, but hopefully won't be not as bad, right?
Right. Thank you, Peter.
Right?
Renee, for your proclamation, I propose getting just a screen grab of from the show Parks and Rec when Ron Swanson is on the park. He holds up a piece of paper and says, "I can do what I want." Just give Sharon that, and then let him.
And then we're good.
So Renee, would it be a proclamation or would it be a resolution from the board?
I think it would just be a policy. I'm going to use Mike's words initially.
Mike, is it a policy? Wouldn't the policies come from the town manager? A resolution would come from the board?
No, board is policy.
Right?
Speaking of policy, we still have to update that remote participation policy. That's on my plate too.
You must have an awfully big plate to keep all that on.
That's why I'm gaining weight, Jack. That's what it is.
How's that? Oh, I must have a large
I'm
plate
stepping
too.
away from this back, and I'm sitting.
All right. Anything else for Sharon and the Recreation Department? All right. Sharon, thank you for joining us twice this evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Sharon, for what you did.
Thanks, Sharon. Good night.
The bunny drive-by one last time before you go?
Sure. So it's March 27th at noon, not until 1:30, Peter. So I didn't want to correct you, but it starts at noon. It's a probably about a 4-mile route, same that we did for the Santa ride. And if it's raining, it'll be the following day, the Sunday, the 28th at noon as well. So
I'll be there with my cameras.
awesome. Film it for the webpage. Appreciate it. Hey, good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, Sharon.
Thank you.
This agenda, by the way, is monstrous.
I know, and I felt like we're meeting every week.
Yeah.
Did you notice who didn't show up for this one?
Oh, can you imagine?
So that means, guys, we have to end in 22 minutes.
I'm down for that. Chair would entertain a motion to vote to declare the police department's 2004 4300 4x2 ambulance international VIN number 1HTMNAAM7514144294 as surplus.
So moved.
Second.
So moved. Second.
All right. Michael.
Aye.
Brad.
Yes.
Renee.
Yeah.
Yes.
I too vote yes. All right.
Mr. Chairman, through you to Brad, tell some guy named Todd we need the title to this beautiful ambulance. I hope he didn't just drive it from Fall River. I hope he has the title.
You may have to find out where. You may have to get your golf shoes out for that one, Brad.
Half the time I don't know if he's up here or not. I was asking him to pick something up, and he told me, well, I'll be back from Florida in 2 days. So. Damn good thing he lives across the street, so I keep tabs on him.
Right.
All right. Anything else for new business, Mike?
No.
All right. We'll jump into old business. First of which, update on marijuana establishments.
That me?
Either you or Mike. I know it ain't me.
I can take it. So, good news, Solar Retail Norton has their provisional license. It was approved, I want to say last week. So they're ready to go. They have a consultant. They're ready to actually file for their special permit and site plan approval. They have to wait until the town meeting because we have that little glitch that we need to update in the bylaw that says that they can't do it until they get a final license. But once that is done, then they'll apply for their permits and then start the construction of the facility. So good news there. Mike and I have been engaged with 2 applicants on HCA's. One right now is going back to identify or provide us with some additional information. We've already talked to town council, so we're well in the process. And then the other one is going to present to the EDC next week on the cultivation, manufacturing, and delivery facility on Hill Street. So we continue to have interest from others. There is somebody local who's looking to do a small cultivation or delivery operation as well. So they're looking at some properties, and I don't know if we've talked about it from the board, but Mike was kind enough to join the EDC, and we talked about some of the town properties that we own and how that process goes for us to essentially sell the properties via auction. Everything has to be auctioned. So there's been some interest there. Mike is coming back, or is it Catherine coming back, Mike, to give you some information back to the EDC so that we just have a better understanding and can help engage applicants in conversations about what properties may be available.
Yeah. Catherine's looking at the list that she has.
Okay. And there's one specifically who was looking at the space where the Parks and Recs area is, right? The old Parks and Recs area right now. So that's come up. I know Paul's had some conversations. So anyway, I mean, the good thing is you know, there are a variety of different establishments that people are contacting us on. So it gives us, you know, the option to bring some additional revenue in, because as noted earlier, we do HCAs for all of them, and they have some community benefits in there that we can really take, you know, I don't want to say take advantage of, that's not the right word, but we can utilize to help fund the services within our town.
Renee, was the solar therapeutics that delivered, did they get approved for a delivery license too, or did they not apply for that? And can they get going before the retail establishment is open?
Solar retail is retail only. They're not a social equity or whatever the other designation is. I can't think of it right now. Something empowerment.
Yes. Oh.
I just can't think of what its actual title is.
On the sale of property, would it be possible, or would there be any interest in leasing property instead of selling?
Mike?
I don't know if the town can lease for something like that, and I don't know if the interested party would be interested in leasing.
Whatever way the select board decides to dispose of property, you can lease or sell, whichever way you go. Just with a lease, you'd have to do an RFQ, and same if you sell the property, you got to do an RFQ. I hate it, but you can't list property like everybody else with a realtor. You have to do an RFQ in order to sell town property. So either way, it would just be whatever the town decided they wanted to do, lease a property or sell it.
What's more financially beneficial?
Well, the only problem leasing, obviously, is then you're still responsible for the property. It all depends how you write the lease. But it would be a steady income rather than get a chunk of money that goes right away. It would be
that's what I was asking. I mean, I know, like with retail establishments, triple net leases leave the owner very few obligations, and that way there's a steady flow of income that you can depend on for years to come. Where if you sell something, chances are the town is going to, especially in hard times, going to use it all up right away. And I'm just thinking, in the long run, you're going to make more money on a lease than you would if you just sold it outright.
But then we have the additional responsibility of maintenance, liability, things like that, right?
No.
No?
Now, if you have a triple net lease, the person leasing the property would have to pay for insurance to cover you for liability. They would have to, a triple net lease, they take care of all maintenance.
So you're saying that the rates for leasing or the fees for leasing are higher than the property tax potentially that we could collect?
We would have to make,
Over the course of time, I'm talking from a retail piece of property. Over the course of, the life of a mortgage, say, you would make more money than selling it outright. And then it continues. It's almost like a trust fund, like the Hicks Fund, how it just keeps giving and giving, and you don't lose anything. With property, like a lot of the realtors will say, they're not going to make any more land, so it only gets more equity, and it's worth more every year. So, I mean, it's something you have to decide. Do you want the money now, or do you want a greater amount over a term? I just wanted to throw it out as an idea. And I don't even know if the people who were interested would be interested in leasing it either.
I mean,
Not so.
to Brad's point, you still have to maintain it, but you just get to charge them back for the maintenance. So it's
Not necessarily.
on triple net.
It depends how the lease is written. If it's a true triple net lease, they have to maintain it. They have to have an insurance policy in the town's name that they pay for all liability. Or, I mean, whatever even if they were to have a garage or something on the property, that would have to all be insured under the town's name.
I thought I was supposed to be the one who knew about real estate, Brad. You're showing me up.
Well, I have personal knowledge on this one, but I don't have personal knowledge on how it works with a community. I just have how it works with a small community of 6 people.
I think it's a great point. Definitely something to look into.
So Mike, can that be something that, you can provide some considerations on when Catherine comes through with that list to say that it might be based on where the property is, that it might be more advantageous for us to keep it and lease it?
Yeah, and anything you have to do would have to hire an appraiser first anyways, so we know what the property would be worth, so that when we go out for an RFQ, if we get it audited, they wanted to make sure it's legitimate.
Okay. No, Brad, I think that's a great idea. I think we should consider it, right? I mean, something over time that continues to provide benefit to the budget.
Right. And then if they decide to move out, you still own it.
Right. I mean, the thing I think that we're all thinking of is with the property that's there now, we're responsible for fixing it, right? Like those pillars came down in the front and we have to worry about going out there to do it. And I don't think that that's, I think Mike has enough on his plate to worry about maintaining a quote unquote leased property.
It's, like I said, I don't know it from a municipal standpoint for sure, but I'm sure the town attorney could tell you. But like I also said, a normal retail triple net lease, all you basically have to do is take your check and put it in the bank. The tenant, except for anything that's spelled out in the lease, but like 99% of all the maintenance is taken care of by the tenant.
And to throw another wrinkle in it, we have to check also, because that's the property that we told the state they could put the boat ramp and parking, so.
Well, that particular one, but I thought that was the property where we couldn't put a boat ramp because it was too shallow.
Right, well, they're not putting they're putting a car top launch area.
Okay. Yeah. So if we did that, it'd have to be like a split pipe deal at this point.
Anything else on this topic?
9 minutes, Jack.
Well, there we go. Next up is the discussion and/or vote on special legislation for all alcohol package store licenses. I'm proposing that we defer this discussion a bit further, at least until the night when our fifth member is here to have a full discussion.
Second.
Issue with that?
I don't get a second.
Or did you want to add something, Mike, to that?
I said second, but I just had one question. I think I messed up. I kept calling it West Main Street. That's actually Old Colony Ave after Northwestern, right, Brad?
Yes.
I'll make
Between Northwestern and the Attleboro line is Old Colony Road.
I'll make that adjustment. And when I send you those, that's just a draft, nothing, just a stab at it. So.
Is that, Mike, was that something you sent separately that I saw come through, or is that in the packet?
No, separate.
Okay, I thought so.
But I'll make that change, and then that's just a stab at it. So give me any ideas you have individually.
Perfect.
All right, so we're skipping over item number 2, and we'll go on to discussion and/or vote to set the special town meeting. Is that something we are ready and prepared and want to do?
Don't we have to do it? No, we have till next week, right? This is when we said we would open it, right?
This is when we said we'd revisit opening.
So if you opened it tonight, we'd notify all departments tomorrow and put the ad in the newspaper, or send the ad to the newspaper. They'll publish it on the 23rd. And then the special town meeting warrant would close on the 30th. A copy of the warrant would go to the finance committee chair, the moderator, town clerk. 7 business days after that, that will be April 8th. And then the special town meeting warrant would be done 16 calendar days after that, April 22nd. And April 29th, we'd post the special town meeting warrant with recommendations. And town meeting on the 8th at 10 a.m.
With a time TBD, if I recall.
Yeah, we haven't, that should be on the agenda, right? We don't have that, setting the time of the annual town meeting?
Yes, we do. We do need to do that.
Mike, could you run through those dates real quickly again? I apologize.
Michael, page 63 on the agenda packet?
Yeah, I can share it.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have it?
No, I'm on 72.
Let me just share it. I got it right here.
The jumping around threw me off. I apologize, guys.
There you go.
Yeah, right. Good luck. I can't read that.
What are you on, your phone?
No, on my computer. Oh, there
it's
it is.
huge on my screen.
They have split screen.
Way to go.
So what's the requirement, Mike? This is the 14-day one, right? That we have to
Yep.
close it, or, post it
Post it with recommendations.
with recommendations.
Yep.
What do we have in the queue from your folks and Joe?
All we would have that I know of right now would be the typical any bills, unpaid bills from a previous year, and then I know Joe had mentioned which would just be the one article that we have for budget amendments. He wasn't sure if he was going to need anything, but we always have that. And I'm sure we would probably need some budget amendments. And then we talked about moving a couple things from the annual into the special.
And
talked
that's,
about the debt exclusion.
yeah, that's my primary concern, that we haven't actually voted and finalized the annual town meeting warrant. And I know that obviously it has different requirements in place, but I feel like we at least need to be through that one, in order to do it. Right? Because otherwise we have to, so for all intents and purposes, we have to vote tonight to remove the debt exclusion from the annual town meeting and put it on the special, right? Or we just need to put a placeholder.
Right, just a placeholder. So, right now, actually, you have to post the special town meeting warrant 14 days before town meeting, so that's why we have that on the 22nd. It's technically 16 days. There isn't much time if you...
Right.
Whether it's tonight or soon, I certainly don't mind either putting that placeholder or putting that article on.
Yeah, and Mike, you'll take care of putting that placeholder in?
I will.
Whatever, copy and paste from the old, and if we have to modify, we will.
Yep.
I mean, I think it's fine. I think, again, it goes back to this is only open for 5 days. So we just need to be clear. Can you send us, we don't have in this packet the current annual town meeting placeholder list, do we? The article list?
No. No, I don't have one either.
And I'm going to ask this just purely from a pandemic perspective, is there anything else that we have right now on the annual town meeting that is going to draw a crowd that we want to focus on putting earlier in the agenda, like the debt exclusion? Anything else that is controversial?
I can't think of it. I do have it in front of me here now. Chapter 90, tree services, water enterprise budget, sewer budget, operating budget, capital improvements, appropriation, capital plan, rescind unissued portions of previous authorized borrowings. One article, another, the placeholder is reserved for the land acquisition on Pine Street that Water and Sewer is working on. Possible TIF at Blue Star. The special legislation on liquor licenses. Looking to see if there's anything. Other than that one, I don't see anything that...
I would say that one and the TIF jump out to me as the only ones that might be controversial or intense discussion worthy, shall we say.
You think TIF, really?
With this town, I never know.
It's usually a good discussion.
Yeah, I don't know that it rises to the level of
stormwater management update.
Moving it. I mean, I'm not
also fine
opposed to
leaving
it,
as it is.
Yeah, I think leave it as it is.
All the ones on there, those are the only two that I would see possibly considering.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll put forth a motion to open the special town meeting warrant, or set the special town meeting for, Saturday, May 8th. Mike, do we have to do a time? We have to do a time with this one?
Well, I would set a time, yeah.
Okay,
I don't know.
I'm going to pause on that motion for a minute.
Is there a reason that... What did we do? Was it 10 a.m. the last time?
So it's a little chilly in early May.
I would suggest we do something early afternoon, perhaps a 1 o'clock start, and maximize the chance of warmth. I've also heard that there is a desire to do the activity for the graduating seniors the night before. So this would give them time to break down and for our audio visual to set up if we were using the field.
On a good note, I don't know how this is, but the weather projected for May 8th, 2021 is 73 degrees and sunny.
Yeah, I thought Jack was gonna, that's what I thought Jack was doing. I thought he was gonna give us the weather.
But the low is 50, which means 50 is probably what's going to be in the morning. So I'm with Jack on, I'm fine with an afternoon.
Want to say 1?
So 1:15 for the special town meeting?
That's good.
Okay, so I'll motion to set the special town meeting on Saturday, May 8th, to begin at 1:15 p.m. at the Norton High School football field, athletic field. Okay.
Do you have to make a motion to actually set the annual town meeting as well for 1 o'clock then?
It's not on the agenda, so I'd rather just do that next time, and then we can just pop it in before. So we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Michael?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. And Mike, if we could just make sure that the setting the annual town meeting time is on our next main agenda.
Okay.
And then I'd like to add to that, because of the special town meeting, just to, we'll need to have a placeholder mic to vote on the articles on the town meeting on the next agenda, but in the interim, let's get a placeholder on the special town meeting for the projects, for the debt exclusion projects.
Yep.
And just for Mr. Chairman, point of information. I just, speaking Renee and Brad and Mike, speaking to Jack, what I wanted to do, and I'll be in touch with each of the board members, I wanted to just try to organize a checklist for the town meetings on all the warrant articles and make sure everyone on the board's questions are answered. And if we have to do more research, I just, obviously you guys can do your own checklists, but my goal here is just to make sure everyone on the board has the information they need and there's no confusion of what's going to be coming down the road on the town meeting. The last town meeting, a couple of things caught me by surprise, and it was my fault because I signed the warrant and I promised myself I would never get caught again by that. So I just wanted to give that bit of information to the group, and would actually love your help designing the checklist because I want to use it as a template going forward for all town meetings.
So Michael, I can send you that timeline if you'd like that. That might help to inform you on the checklist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And regarding the town meeting, I just, because of, we mentioned the high school graduation, I think maybe we should check tomorrow to make sure that the field is available and they don't have that as an alternate date for graduation or whatever. I just want to make sure the field's available.
I think graduation is later. This, from talking with some folks on the senior committee, it would be an activity the night before. That they just want to make sure that we'd have time to set up that. And they are aware that the meeting was on the 8th, which is why they had moved.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Michael, thank you for volunteering to do that.
Town report.
Okay. You gotta give me a hard date, Mike. I work the dates.
Gone by.
Okay, but then stop bugging me about it then, I guess.
It's supposed to be already out there. I forget how many days before town meeting. I'll get that to you, but I think we may have missed that.
Is the COVID?
So can we put it on the special town meeting? That's still a placeholder now.
Well, to be fair, no one's sent me a recommendation for.
I have.
You said it out loud. I
Dedication.
No, I also sent one. I will find it and I will forward it to you.
So you're just waiting on dedication. This is something that I haven't really kind of taken the lead on, but that's what you're waiting on, is the dedication piece.
That's my understanding, is that that's typically something that we're involved in, right?
Yep, the dedication and your.
Not we. I think that's chair.
Yeah.
No.
The chair. It's
No, the dedication is.
They're backing over you.
But it's not something we. Yeah, it's not something we do publicly. We should, Jack maybe call or text us, and then we can
Separately?
respond. Yeah, because usually it's a surprise to the person we're dedicating it to. And it'd be tough to do a surprise on a Zoom meeting.
Well, I already said my surprise, but I don't think this particular person is watching.
Yeah, but you know how things you don't want to have repeated get repeated.
Right.
Mike, are you going to do a Brady Bunch picture on Zoom of the select board members? How are you going to do the picture?
That's a good question.
The 5 blocks, the blocks of.
We'll put Mike in the middle and we'll all be around him, pointing to him.
Okay,
How are we
so
going to do it?
I will figure that out. I'm going to use Brad's wizardry with timing that he used to refute my COVID, the town of Norton for surviving through the pandemic. Technically, sir, you were the chair during the period in which the report is there. I feel it's only appropriate to give you your final farewell to the good people of Norton.
That would be true if I didn't get stuck writing the report for the year that Bob Kimball was chair. The chair always has to do the preceding year.
How do I hear? I hear like
it's tradition.
I hear like a truck beep beep beep, kind of backing over each other. Yeah.
All right. So, I'm foisted by my own petard.
Just a tip. If you can, if you can get a hold of either Jen or somebody at the town hall to kind of give you a list of hot topics that happened that year. It's because otherwise I usually go through minutes to jog my memory about what important happened. That or look at town meeting, the agenda on the town meeting, which you can pick up in the previous town report, possibly.
Jack has extensive notes from his first year, too. Brad, do you remember all that note-taking he used to do?
True. But if he's like me, he can't read them.
I can feel them in my soul. It's okay.
Now that
all right, so Mike.
Yeah, I know.
So Mike, give me a date and a word limit that you're.
Okay.
Not like now, because otherwise we'll talk about this.
You can ramble through
When you meant Jack, and Mike's silence was kind of comical.
You want me to give you a date right now?
Yeah. Even if it's arbitrary, I'm not going to know, and it just gives me.
Let me see if I can get in touch with the producer.
It's 10 after 9, Mike, just a heads up.
I know.
We want to send out text messages this week.
Wasn't it like 250? Wasn't it like something like that?
I don't know. The other one, I think it's like 4 pages. I think I have it around me. Hold on.
All right. Hey, Mike, just make up a date. I'm not going to know the difference.
Monday.
Okay. I'll have it to you Monday, end of day. Thank you for that very real and terrifying deadline.
Tomorrow.
That's acceptable. Thank you. All right. Let's get this train back on the track here. Going all the way back up. The reopening of Town Hall. So I think this is a great topic to have. I know I've seen that question asked a bit, and seeing other places reopening. What would your recommendation be, Mike?
I think, as we talked about previously, maybe waiting a little bit longer. I'm concerned. I noticed in Massachusetts the last couple days the numbers went up each day. I know we had talked before about waiting till after Easter, but the board's preferences.
I agree with waiting. I think you're spot on.
I think I gave my, everything I was clear on last time we discussed this. I think we should.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't rush it. I think that a lot of places are tired of COVID cautions and they're jumping the gun. I'd rather be safe than sorry.
I agree. I think certainly until after Easter, and even some time after that to check for another spike. I say we
a couple weeks.
Maybe sometime after the election would make sense, just given the timing of the holiday.
I mean, anyone who has, I was going to say, anyone who has really pressing things with the town hall, they can call and make an appointment. Not like they're completely being locked out or can't get service, or it's just, I mean, we've gone through a year of inconvenience. You have to put up with it for a little bit longer, but at least now it seems like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Let's hope it's not a train coming down the track at us, but that's why I don't want to jump the gun.
Oh no, it's the same train that just backed over me in the last segment. It's coming back for another bit. Yeah, I think waiting makes the most sense, especially given the condition and cramped quarters within Town Hall in our older mechanical systems. I think it's not worth reopening at this time. So.
Mike, can we put this for discussion like mid-April or end of April? I don't know when we're meeting in that month, but.
And I just want to say that if someone has to come in, if they have a bill to pay and they don't know how to pay online, they ring the bell and they are allowed in. So.
But we're encouraging appointment only, right?
Yes.
So we meet on the 15th of April. If we want to just put that as a placeholder.
Okay.
To revisit. Does that work for you guys?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm sure, Brad. I'm sure it works great for you. Actually, Mike, let's do it the 9th, Friday the 9th at like 8 p.m. for Brad's purpose.
All right, thank you for that one, guys. Then we have the review and or vote on the capital plan. If I recall from our previous discussion, we've just had open questions on the water sewer, which I believe Frank sufficiently addressed tonight. So are there any other questions or revisions we need to be aware of before we vote?
The only revision was that one that Frank gave you tonight, reducing the cost of the work at the pump station from $100,000 down to, what was it, $57,000?
Yeah, 57. Okay. Is that is the revision in our packet?
It is not. I have it before that. So.
I think we just, yeah, there we go. We just have it on the screen.
Yeah.
See it.
So,
well, didn't he say the one has changed, so doesn't this need to be updated?
Yes.
Didn't he say the 100,000 is actually 57,000?
This one right here. changes to 57.
You can just do that in the motion, correct?
We just need to do that. Is this, like, Mike, do we need to approve this right now, or can we just do it at the next meeting and have it updated?
You can do it at the next meeting.
Jack, maybe we should just do that so we have the copy if we have to refer back to it.
Sure. That's fine. All right. What else we got? This is it for old business. Yep. Update on the community rating system.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Jennifer and Nick and everyone in the Inspectional Service Department and Conservation for all the work they did. The insurance companies do a community rating, so this is for the flood insurance. So they'll come out and they want to make sure that we're educating people on floodplains, that the building commissioner is keeping records of work that's done in the floodplain and that it's done properly. And by their work and being diligent, we maintain Class 9 community, which means that it's a 5% savings on people's flood insurance in the town because of that work that they do. So I want to thank them for that.
I want to thank them for that too. That's great.
That's awesome. All right. New executive director for Norton Housing.
I was surprised to hear. I didn't even know that Andrea was retiring. So Andrea has retired, and Missy Salsbee is now the new executive director of the Norton Housing Authority. I know she was going to try and be on tonight, but I'm not sure that she was able to get on. So I just wanted to wish her good luck in the new position. And she has been working at the Housing Authority, and she's moved up into this position.
Just Mike, Mike, who does this person report to?
To the Norton Housing Authority. Norton Housing Authority isn't technically part of the town. We work closely with them, but they're a separate entity.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is not one of the elected positions that we have, is it, Mike?
No, this is the director position.
Okay.
It's appointed by the Housing Authority Board.
And the Housing Authority Board has, if I'm not mistaken, 3 elected seats, 1 state appointed seat.
Yep, 1 state appointed seat, yes.
Or maybe 4 elected, okay.
Does that salary come out of the town, or is that funded from?
No, that's all funded from state funds.
Okay.
And Mike, who did you say? What was the woman's name again?
Missy Salsbee, Saulsby. She's the new executive director.
Thank you for sharing. And then an update on the American Rescue Plan.
So the plan, I don't think I brought this up at the last meeting. So our allotment is $1.97 million to Norton. We're still waiting for the directives on how we can expend that money. And I know there's also the state is also receiving funds that I think they're going to share with school systems. So we'll keep you informed as soon as we find out the guidelines and what we can use that money for. And it's we have until 2024 to expend those funds.
That's great.
Congressman Oshkosh sent over that PowerPoint. Mike, did you have a chance to review that yet?
I did get that.
Okay. I know that his people said they were willing to come on and kind of talk through it if the board wanted it to happen.
Okay. Let me reach out to them.
I'd be interested.
Mike, have they given any indication of when they would set those parameters and communicate them?
I have not heard that yet, and I have not heard when the money's going to be available. So I'll check with the Congressman's office on that.
Right. Anything else for town manager reports?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Which brings us to select board report and mail. Anyone have something they need to share tonight?
I would just say, Mr. Chair, obviously we've got some big subjects coming up in our elections and the town meetings, and I guess it's more of a public plea that stay on the facts and not make it personal. I don't think there's a right or wrong on how you vote, but a lot of the conjecture back and forth seems to be getting very personal. So I would ask town members to stay focused on the issues, and people have opinions, and these ideas are hopefully just to improve the town. And I don't think there are perfect solutions on any of the ideas, but just to try to keep it very not making it personal.
An idea.
Anyone else? Yeah. Brad or Renee, anything you need to share?
Got nothing.
I don't have anything, Jack, thanks.
All right. So, warrants and minutes. So I have recently approved payroll warrant PR 21-19 for the week ended March 6, 2021. Warrant dated March 11, 2021 in the amount of $1,424,744.57. Invoice warrants AP 21-37 dated March 11, 2021 in the amount of $644,951.63. Invoice warrant AP 21-38 dated March 18, 2021 in the amount of $293,427.28. So, Mike, I actually have a sort of related question to that. I've heard that there is a health insurance holiday that's been communicated. Does that extend to the town portion of the payment as well, or just the individual contributions?
It does. So the health insurance holiday is for the month of May, so everyone pays a month in advance. So none of the employees will have health insurance deducted from their paychecks for the month of April, and with the town, we won't have to pay any money for the month of May.
That's phenomenal. And why is that?
Really, because I think of COVID, that people just haven't been going to the doctor, and no elective surgeries and things like that. So there's been just such a small usage of the health insurance that we're able to do that this year.
That's great. And for those keeping score at home, that amount on a monthly basis is typically $820,000. So that is not an insignificant amount of money to avoid paying. And if I recall, that more than covers the deficit you mentioned earlier with the $700,000. So we're just solving problems left and right.
Good job.
I think that was a pretty big assumption you made there, Jack.
Well, one problem. All right, minutes. I know the December 10th ones needed some revisions. Have those been circulated and to your satisfaction, Renee?
I believe they've been circulated, Jack, to my satisfaction, but I apologize. I have not had a chance to review them. Can we target next meeting?
I'm fine with that. We are falling into our normal habit of letting them build up. Thankfully, it's not a ton.
I have, well, the 21st too. You know what I might do? I might just, I have them handwritten for the 21st because I was at town hall when I reviewed them. So maybe I'll scan this and send it to Jen. And then we can hit both of them out.
Our next meeting will be held on, it's another special edition, March 22nd, 2021. It's a joint meeting with the Finance Committee. What's on the agenda for that one, Mike?
Southeastern Regional, Bristol Aggie, and the Capitol. So you can do it there.
That works.
Are there going to be any big assessments from Aggie or Southeastern Regional that we're going to be looking at?
Are there going to be, say that again, Mike?
Any kind of, what do they call it? They call assessments. I know that big capital assessments. I thought this year was one of those.
This year is for the agricultural school. It's about $70,000 for us.
Mike, are we from this point forward going to just meet jointly with FinCom and not have this separate Thursday meeting? Or are we going to try to work out
that would be a swap? That's a good idea. And the following Monday, the 29th, I believe is going to be, they're going to be discussing the TIF as one thing. So
that one's on our schedule, I see. Okay, so we should just plan that. So we meet our normal, so for this particular meeting, we would meet in 2 Thursdays, but we'll do Mondays as we approve the items.
Yep.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Cool. And I thought the TIF was being presented to the board separately. It's going to be the same night?
It's Wednesday to the EDC, and then that Monday, joint with Board of Selectmen and FinCom.
Okay. So the 24th EDC, 29th.
Yep.
Joint. Okay. Is that something that you can circulate so we can look at it beforehand?
Yeah.
I know the EDC has seen it, but.
Yeah, I asked them today to give me the full spreadsheet, so hopefully I'll have that by Monday at the latest.
Okay. I need to write that on the agenda for next week too. I'll get you the meeting invite out for that too tonight.
Is there any other business to come before the board this evening before we enter into an executive session?
Yes,
Peter.
Yeah, we're almost there at the end of the pandemic. We're gonna wait for a few more months, and we'll get there. Remember, wash your hands, stay safe, be positive, and vaccines are rising and skyrocketed, and training case will go down. Hopefully, I'm not concerned about the variants at all. So variants are part of what viruses form. So hang in tight for a few months, and the pandemic will be over soon.
Certainly hope so, Peter. Thank you for your positive attitude. Leading by example.
Do you need me to read the declaration, Jack?
Nope, I was able to pull it up. You can make the motion.
All right.
I declare under General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21, small a3, that the purpose of the executive session will be to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, because a discussion of the strategy in open session could compromise the purpose of the executive session, and with the board to not return to open session at the conclusion of the open session.
Move that the board go to executive session under General Law, Section 30A, 21A3 for the purposes and reasons declared by the chair, and with the board not to return to open session thereafter.
So move. Second.
All right. It's a roll call vote to go in. Michael.
Aye.
Brad.
Yes.
Renee.
Yes.
I too vote yes. All right, so we will hang here until our remaining participants decide to leave.
Good night, everyone. Good night, everyone. Good night. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night, Charlene. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Recording stop.
Good night, everyone. Good night.